Good evening and welcome and happy new year. It's after an unexpected 2 week break. I'm back and glad to be back. So this evening's is a short one, but it involves broken glass. So let's find out what's going on with this. This dreamer reported that they went with their spouse to visit their husband's old boss at his flat. And the boss had recently suffered a bereavement. When the dreamer and her husband arrived at the boss's apartment or flat, there apparently some glass had shattered, and the boss's jacket had small bits of glass on it, so it made it difficult to actually give him a hug. So they had to be very careful. And that's the end of the dream, a very short dream. But as we know, little dreams can contain lots of information. Dreams are very good at compacting a lot of information into a short space. So let's look at this. So we look at the former boss. The visit took place at this boss's home, and houses are, as I've said before, are always indicative of the inner life of a person. So even though it was at the boss's house, it there seems that it's really might be looking at something that's going on within the dreamer herself. And I would ask is if there's some part of the dreamer's life that had been lost in some way. And but on another level, what does this boss or former boss represent? Um, and why is this boss grieving? Who is this former boss grieving over? Now, we also take a look at the boss himself. What does this person evoke for the dreamer? Has the dreamer or the actual boss, former boss, experienced a bereavement in waking life? And so this is just kind of a smokestack dream where it kind of burning off remains of the day, so to speak. But we can look at the boss in a different way. You think of somebody who's a boss, is in charge, and looking at it in a slightly different way, is this boss, uh, could this boss be a dominant idea or thought or behavior that used to be in charge of the dreamer rather than an external person? This is an internal boss that was in charge of the dreamer. And also, the question came up for me is, are there issues perhaps at work, past or present, that actually grieves the dreamer? Is there something that the dreamer is grieving over with regard to their work? Moving on from there, we look at the wife. The wife is uh, indicative of the perhaps the anima or inner female of the other half of the couple, and this energy of nurturing, of connection, of healing. And I wonder if the this dreamer's animus is encouraging the connection somehow, healing perhaps a past connection or state of mind or behavior. So we'll leave the two other characters at the moment and look at some of the things that are in this dream, such as, first of all, bereavement. There's a loss of someone or something that is being gone through by this boss. And I would ask here where possibly the dreamer might have experienced or feels a loss of something in their life, perhaps a relationship, an idea, a type of behavior, etc. Is there something that they have lost and feel and are mourning over? Maybe a part of their life, free bachelorette days or what have you, that are gone, and they're mourning that. And so again, it brings up the question, who or what is actually being mourned here? It's not clear. It just says a bereavement. It could be a beloved pet. It could be a relative. It could be a spouse. It could be a child. It could be anything. It could be a loss of a job or a home. But what was actually lost and is being grieved over? Then we come to this glass. Was it a drinking glass? What is it? A window pane? What kind? Where was this glass, this broken glass, coming from? Where did it originate from? That and shattered. I mean, perhaps it was a drinking glass, since the bits of shards of glass had ended up on the boss's jacket. But then at another level, I would ask, is there something in pieces or that has been shattered somehow in the dreamer's own life? The other thing that came up with this is the expression glass ceiling. Um, and I wondered, being that this was a former boss, if there was a glass ceiling of some kind that may have been experienced at work by the dreamer, or whether there was, the glass ceiling in terms of women being able to break into to executive positions or have you, but or something with regard to work that had been smashed to pieces and it was nothing left but shards. This glass, bits of glass that were on the boss's jacket, um, did it shatter in the boss's hand? How did this thing shatter, and why? Um, and why did it end up on the person himself? Usually, if you break a glass, if it's a drinking glass, it's probably because it slipped out of your hand or banged against something. It's not usual that it would splatter or get caught in the material. It could, but it just seems less likely. Now, I my question here is the boss, this boss, whoever it is, in mourning at the shattering of life at or at work, perhaps? A former boss, maybe that the glass ceiling had been broken. Some women had come into executive level, and he was mourning that. The good old days were gone, which implies some kind of privilege had been revoked or taken away in some way. It also implies some kind of transition has taken place. I mean, death is the ultimate transition, but there could be, whether it's a literal death or a metaphorical one, something has transformed or changed. Ooh, nose is itching. And there's no going back. There can't be put back together. It can't be replaced. It's just gone. And my question here for the dreamer is whether there's somewhere in the dreamer's life, some aspect of the dreamer's life, where they feel that something or someone perhaps has died and can't come back. My feeling is that it may be some aspect of the dreamer that has died, and is being mourned. Then you have the hug. The dreamer reports that it had to be careful about giving the boss a hug of consolation because of the glass shards that were on their clothing. Um, and while it's a gesture of love, in this case, being loving actually is painful. And my question here, I mean, again, looking at it in a more metaphorical sense, is there an area of the dreamer's life where sharing or showing love could actually be painful? There's just something about that, showing love, but receiving pain in return. There's something about that, perhaps, that the dreamer needs to look at. Um, is And the other question that came up, well, a couple of songs actually came up with regard to this. One was a song called Love Hurts by Nazareth, and the words went something like, love hurts, love wounds, love scars, any heart not tough enough, not tough or strong enough, which makes me tend to think that there's some kind of wounding associated with loving here. There's also another song that came up by JLS called Pieces of My Heart. But this particular song talks about somebody coming in and actually helping a person to put their broken heart back together. But my question here for the dreamer is there anywhere in the dreamer's life where love feels like, or like it leaves a wound, that it is painful, that it hurts to love? So those are the questions that I have for the dreamer. As always, I'm waiting to hear back from the dreamer, how that what resonates and how it resonates for them. And during this month, I think I've been saying it for a while, but I think I will go into my archives and look at a few dreams where I've gotten feedback from the dreamer to see what actually resonated for the dreamer based on the interpretation that I've been able to do, the deciphering that I've done. So there you have it, broken glass and a hurtful love, perhaps, and mourning what may be the passing of some kind of state of mind or behavior on the part of the dreamer. Thanks so much for watching and listening. Have a great rest of the week. It's good to be back and to have you with me. And I'll see you again soon. Take care. Bye bye.